What's poppin', everybody? This is Ray Rawlins from the Ray Rawlins Network, and I'm joined by Alex Payne. We're continuing the 31 Days of Halloween Cartoons Marathon as we review Season 4, episode, I believe it's 23 of Family Guy. Everybody's familiar with this one, Petergeist. Now, I remember I had to be like maybe 9 or 10 when this came out, and, oh, man, I can't wait to review this, man. It was a good watch. But before we get into it, as always, Mr. Alex Payne, you're better at this than me. Give us the episode breakdown.
I wouldn't say I am, but
You're definitely not, but you know what? You do it.
I mean, I could just be an asshole to you because you hate, concise, short, simple,
Of course you
descriptions.
can.
Because I could just be like, this is a Poltergeist parody and leave it at that.
You could. But you know what? That's not the right thing to do. The viewers come in. I'm sorry, I say viewers. Listen, I keep it's singular. The one viewer who comes in here watching, they need to. Or I'm sorry, I did it again. He or she needs to know that this episode
Listen,
is about.
You could say they. Maybe they're binaries.
I don't fucking know, man. This episode is simply about motherfucking Peter simply want to outdo Joe, and he wants to build what the fuck was it called? Like a little home theater like Joe did.
Yeah.
But he wants to do it bigger, badder, and better. So he stumbles upon an Indian gravesite, and
it's
a little skull. Yeah, in his backyard. And he basically picks up the skull and wants to use it for keeps. He's playing around with it. He even pisses in it at one point, just straight up disrespecting the shit out of it. But long story short, it stirs up the whole poltergeist story where they have ghosts basically invading their home, and they're trying to figure out, why is this shit happening? And they end up kidnapping Stewie, and they eventually try to get Meg too, and all this craziness. But like you said, simply put, this episode is basically a Poltergeist parody.
Yeah.
Now, for first impressions, like I said, this came out probably like 11, 12 years ago. No, more than that, probably like 14, 15 years ago. But I remember being a little kid watching this when it came on, and I was a big fan of it, honestly. I really was. I loved this episode. It was spooky. It was out of Family Guy's realm of, I guess you could say, funny, but it still was funny. It had comedy in there. It was just a little darker toned, which I really enjoyed. Like, I loved spooky stuff, spooky Halloween stuff. So that was my big thing. That's why I enjoy Halloween. I love celebrating and whatnot, and the candy's good too. So, but Alex Payne, what are your first impressions of this episode?
My first impression was, well, I have two first impressions, even though that's not possible. My first impression was, man, because I legit haven't sat down and watched a Family Guy episode in, had to be at least, I want to say 5 years. Like, no contact with it at all. Because even Ed, Edd n Eddy, I at least watched some of that, I would say a couple of years ago. Like, I haven't watched anything of Family Guy in 5 years at the very least, probably longer than that. So it was it was such a weird alien feeling to be watching the episode. Like, it didn't feel right, I guess, if that makes any sense. But my second first impression is, and I wouldn't say this is necessarily a marker for me on how it is overall, but like that had to have been the longest 20-minute show I've ever seen in my entire life. Like,
that's not good hearing that.
That 20 minutes took 3 hours to go past. Like, when I got to the part when they left the house, I was like, how is this not over yet? How? So that should tell you at what point I was already like, why? Like, I even had to check to stop the thing to make sure it wasn't an hour-long episode. Because I tapped and I saw it had like 30 to 40% left over to go. So I had to like check the friggin' times. I was like, okay, 20 minutes. So why the hell is this taking so long? Oh my god. Ed, Edd n Eddy was 20 minutes in the show. It didn't take this long. Not saying that was better or good or better or worse. I'm just saying like that was the longest. Like the Simpsons didn't even feel that long. We know how they went,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
but
And that I'm definitely in agreement with you on. That's fucked up, man. Oh, but
but like
I
yeah,
look
that
at it.
was the longest 20 minutes of my life.
That's a precursor to his final review, guys. He did not
Not,
like it at all.
no, not that's not true. I wouldn't say not.
No,
That I don't say
I'm
that's
only
true.
saying that because that's how I felt about the Ed and Eddie the first time I seen it. But let's get into the whole
Moments.
moments part of the review. I gotta say, like there's a couple
Please don't steal
times this
mine.
shit. I probably am, but
I
there's
know
a
you
couple
are, you
moments in
dumb
this.
bastard.
There's a couple moments.
I only got like three. Oh, you pull your mic out.
My microphone. My microphone. That will not be edited out, you guys. This is the most fucked up review we're doing in this marathon. But go ahead, say your moment. Say your moment if you haven't already.
Well, my two moments are very simple, really. Like the two moments for me, it's three, but two of them are pretty much connected. The first TV show of the friggin' guys with the really high pants was hilarious to me, and
Oh, okay.
the one with the ostrich with too many ostriches was funny to me. But the main thing that really made me laugh was the entire Chris segment of the horror thing. Like when he said, "I hope that clown leaves my bedroom," and then you
Oh
see Ronald
yeah.
McDonald do the McDonald sign. That was hilarious. Herbert fighting the tree was hilarious and epic. So that's my main thing. And he does it again. Damn, you
No,
just
my
can't
bad.
keep it in. Your
I can't
non-existent
keep it in.
girlfriend must be feel terrible. You can't keep it in.
Man, she wants a divorce, man. She hate me. But you're so
Tearing that
small.
pussy apart. Why
Fuck
you
it.
keep slipping out?
This review is already fucked up. We might as well hurry up and anyway.
So what are your
Um,
moments, man? Even though I thought he
let's pull
stole
it
the
together.
tree one from you.
No, actually, I wasn't even gonna say that.
Oh, well,
Um,
I would say that's
the first
definitely the
moment,
best moment.
it is, but it's just like I don't, it's like man, who gives a fuck? Like the whole moments with me is like the whole little funny banter that goes on, like when when Peter's like he already got the skull and shit, and he was like, oh Brian, he said something about breastfeeding, he just kept shoving it in his chest and shit. Stop breastfeeding, and I'll never forget when him and Lewis are laying in bed. I said Lewis. Him and Lois are laying in bed, right? And Lois is like, "Oh, you Peter, you brought that damn skull up here?" And then he's like, "Yeah." And then he says something about going and taking a piss, and then he's pissing in the skull. He's like, "Peter, tell me you're not pissing in that skull." He's like, no, I'm gonna get up and walk a couple steps to the bathroom and piss in the bathroom. Pain in the ass.
Pain.
It's just like it's just like,
Listen, you
damn, that's
can't
some
fuck with
fucked
that
up shit.
skull.
You can't. No, it's just like it's fucked up because, yo, that's a person's head, yo, and you're just pissing it, just no remorse, just pissing in the motherfucker. And I'm sure
His
he did
piss sound
other
like a
fucked up
drill.
shit. I don't know. I'm sure he did other fucked up shit that's not coming into my head right at the moment. But another moment that I thought was kind of funny, obviously when they're trying to set up the portal through Meg's butt and shit to get Stewie out after they kidnap him. And I obviously get him out. Lois goes in, gets him out, and then they snatch up Meg, and they're getting the car ready to pull off and whatnot. And Peter's like, "Oh yeah, Lois like, Peter, we gotta go back and get Meg." And then he was like, "We already agreed if we save two, we leave Meg. Da da da. Woo woo woo." Meg basically comes hopping. He's like, "You mother, how you bastards? How can you leave me?" And then Peter's like, "Oh well, look, see, it solved itself." And Peter just whoop, hit that motherfucking pedal and just got up out that bitch. It's just like, damn, they bogus as hell. They gonna motherfucking leave Meg, yo.
Damn.
They bogus as hell. But
Damn.
the whole Carrot Top scene, that shit was fucking retarded.
Yes,
I'm not a
agreed
big fan
fully.
of it. But I will say this: the ending with where Peter basically gets out the trap door. He's like, "Oh, how'd you get out of that?" He's like, "I found the saw with glasses on it." "Oh, that's my seesaw." I'm like, uh, uh. But Peter obviously having a low sense of intelligence and is very immature. He thought that was so funny. They gave him the skull back. He came back. He's like, nah, I need it. Whew. Um, final moment, that I got a good chuckle out of is like when they get back into the house and whatnot. Lois comes, puts the TV out. Peter Peter goes out, puts it back in, and then he shuts the door. Then he opens the door and just puts Meg out, and then shuts the door. Just goes back in the house,
Yeah,
and
that was
leaves
funny
Meg
them to see.
outside. I was like, damn, they really don't give no fucks about Meg, yo. They really don't. But why the fuck does keep getting connected, yo? I got my phone.
You
I
can't
got.
keep it in, man. You cannot keep it in.
Let's let's fucking finish this shit up before my dick falls out the pussy again. You did your moments. Let's go on to the final reviews. I gotta say, like me being a big fan of this ever since I was a kid. Like I said, I enjoyed it, but with every cartoon that I enjoyed as a kid, as you get older, it loses its luster. I suppose would be the right terminology. So I'm not saying it's terrible.
I
I'm not
don't agree
saying
with that.
it's
Yeah, I really don't, because early SpongeBob is still amazing. Courage is still
right.
amazing. I think it just comes down to the show, because I feel like I never thought The Simpsons was anything special. So I
Well,
think, I
you never
mean,
watched it. So.
maybe your perspective of it might maybe maybe you do like different things as a kid.
All I'm saying is you think it's more exciting. At least I do. Like the SpongeBob's, we can go back and watch some of them. And at least I will be like, I remember this being a hell of a lot better.
No,
That's
yeah,
just
there are
me.
some bad episodes, but a lot of them are still amazing. It's that's my point. Like what I'm saying is, yeah, when you're a kid, you could you might love watching Dora, and then when you get older, it's like I don't know. But I think a good show still always holds up. Like Courage has not lost an ounce of friggin' quality for me. Just as a
Right.
perfect example.
And then
Neither
again,
has
that's
the
more
early
of adult.
SpongeBob's.
That's a more adult oriented show, The Courage. But SpongeBob, I guess, is a different story too. But it's
Hmm.
just like I'm saying, just the whole thing of like, I'm not saying it loses its excitement in a bad way. I'm saying like, oh man, you
Maybe
watched
it
it
just
as a
wasn't
kid, you're
as
like,
good as you thought it was.
exactly. And I don't mean it in like a bad way, you know.
Mhm.
I'm just meaning like it used to be a 9 when you were a kid. Now it's probably like maybe an 8, 8.5, something like that. So I'll say this with this episode, um, for them doing like a little 30-minute episode, trying to do the whole poltergeist thing, it's just like I don't know. I felt like it kind of dragged, but still it had a proper setup to it. It wasn't anything too rushed. I mean, you may disagree, but it's just like I felt like it had a decent setup for a decent logical setup. And of course, they did the whole Indian burial ground theory. And it's funny because I saw a story, a real life story of how the poltergeist shit became a thing. And it was about this family living in a house. And I want to say it was like the 1950s. I can't remember per se, but I think that's where the whole Indian burial ground theory came from. Is like their house was built on top of Indian remains. So I'm almost sure, if I can remember correctly, that's how it was founded. The whole poltergeist theory, because I didn't watch the full show, but either way, it's kind of like a basic setup, but that's how it started nonetheless. Not a lot of people know that. At least I don't think. Um, but I think the whole thing with them trying to get rid of the ghosts was very, I don't know. I would say cartoony. Like obviously they're trying to do it in a funny way, but it's just like, yeah, Porter out Meg's butthole. Yeah, haha, funny. That's how we're gonna get Stewie
Ha
back. So,
ha.
but overall, to speed this up, all I'm gonna say is it's not terrible, but it's not as good as I remembered it being when I was a kid. So I'm gonna give this a nice flat 7. It's not the greatest thing in the world. It's not the worst. So I'll give it a nice flat 7.
Okay. As I said,
Here we
the
go!
the
Flame this shit.
the,
I know you
the
wanna.
episode the episode took 6 years. And like I said, I'm not even necessarily trying to say like it was bad, but it just seemed so slow for some reason. I don't even know. I think it was all the cutaway guys, because There was
Yeah,
a
right.
lot of freaking cutaways in this freaking episode, from like
There was
there was
there
a
was
lot.
one I really like. Oh, the John Travolta one. The John Travolta one. Like, man, there hasn't been this much denial than since John Travolta married Kelly Preston. And then cut away, obviously. And then, the priest asked him, do you take so and so, da da da, woo woo woo,
I think
and
that's
what are you
like a
gonna
good.
do?
I think that's I think that's a part of it, because like some of them cutaways, that's a perfect example of one were unnecessarily long,
Right, right, right. Yeah, I'm
and a
gonna
lot of
I'm
moments
gonna
were
love her.
unnecessarily long
I'm
too.
gonna I'm gonna touch her and touch her penis. Oops, not that, not that.
No,
That
I
shit was
mean not
funny, boy.
that,
I
not
like
that.
that one. That was kind of, as long as you get a laugh out of it, I don't see anything wrong. But it does take away from the story too, obviously.
I honestly
It
didn't
takes
think
time away
that
from the story.
one was funny. Though. I think it was alright, but it wasn't.
It was a chuckle. You can get a chuckle out of
Yeah,
it. But go
but
ahead, finish.
yeah, but I think like I said, a lot of the moments there was a lot of filler moments, I guess you could say, like Stewie singing in the TV for like what 2 minutes,
Yeah, yeah, that shit felt
and
long as fuck.
so like the episode was just very very slow, and yeah. But anyway, I don't think it was terrible. I think it was pretty decent, even though it took half my lifetime to go. But I think I'm gonna give it a 6. It's above.
Okay,
It's above middle of the road, but not much above it. So
right.
I'm gonna give it a nice, decent, which in my scale is a 6.
Okay, okay. I think that's fair enough. I give it a 7. You give it a 6. Not greatest scores. Right in the middle in the sense. A little bit above it. Um, but that's pretty much it, y'all. This is our review
Y'all,
of season 4, episode 23 of Family Guy, called Petergeists. Y'all want to see it? Go check it out. Y'all know what it is. This is the 31 Days of Halloween Cartoons Marathon. My name's Ray Rawlins. His is Alex Payne. We got to give a shout out to the one person watching, and my girl's loose pussy, because I ain't got a small dick. We'll see you when we see you. Peace. We gotta do it one more time.
this man has a very loose penis.
Oh shit, it's not going in. There we go.
I'm sure your girlfriend's
Got it
used
back.
to hearing that too.
Ha ha. Peace.